I thought I was walking into a normal dentist appointment, nothing unusual, just a sharp toothache that had been bothering me for a few days. The dentist checked my mouth, smiled, and said an itch would probably be a quick procedure. I relaxed in the chair thinking I'd be out in less than an hour, but then everything changed. Halfway through the procedure, my dentist suddenly froze. His face lost all color. He stepped back slowly and stared at the screen beside me. Then he looked directly into my eyes and said words I will never forget. "We need to call 911 right now." At first, I laughed nervously. I thought he was joking. It was just a toothache, right? But when he turned the monitor toward me and said, "This isn't about your teeth," I felt my entire body go cold. It started on a Tuesday morning. I had been ignoring a dull pain in the back of my jaw for nearly a week. At first, I blamed stress. Then I thought maybe I had bitten down too hard on something. But when the pain started radiating into my neck and causing headaches, I decided to book an emergency dentist appointment. The clinic was quiet. Everything felt routine. I checked in, sat in the waiting room, scrolling through my phone, and after 10 minutes they called my name. The dentist greeted me casually and asked a few questions. I explained the pain, expecting him to tell me I had a cavity or maybe needed a root canal. He nodded and said he wanted to take an X-ray first. Nothing unusual. A few minutes later, he pulled the image onto the screen and stared at it longer than expected. I noticed his expression change, but I assumed he was simply studying the tooth damage. He told me he wanted to begin cleaning the infected area before discussing treatment. Again, everything seemed completely normal, so I leaned back and let him work. About 5 minutes into the procedure, I felt him suddenly stop. No warning, no explanation, just complete silence. Then I opened my eyes and saw him staring at the X-ray again. Is everything okay?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he slowly removed his gloves and walked toward the phone mounted on the wall. That was the first moment fear hit me. I sat up in the chair and asked again, louder this time, "What's going on?" Then he turned toward me and said, "I need you to stay calm." "But I'm calling emergency services." I remember laughing because I genuinely thought it was some misunderstanding. I said, "Doctor, it's literally just a toothache." But his next sentence changed. Everything. He pointed toward a dark shadow visible beneath my jawbone on the X-ray and said, "No, this isn't your tooth. There's a large abnormal mass pressing against major blood vessels in your neck." My stomach dropped instantly. I stared at the screen, trying to understand what I was looking at. To me, it looked like random shapes and blurry outlines, but to him it was something serious, very serious. He explained that whatever was growing there had likely been expanding for months without me noticing. The pressure was now affecting nerves connected to my jaw, which explained why I thought the pain was dental. But the dangerous part, it was dangerously close to restricting blood flow to my brain. He said if it shifted even slightly, I could lose consciousness or worse. Within minutes, paramedics arrived at the clinic. I remember sitting there, surrounded by strangers while my mind replayed the morning in disbelief. I had walked in expecting a simple dental procedure, and now I was being rushed to the hospital wondering if my life was in danger. At the hospital, specialists ran scans immediately. Hours later, a surgeon came into the room with a serious expression. He confirmed what my dentist suspected. There was a rapidly growing cyst-like mass deep in my neck tissue. Left untreated, it could have caused catastrophic complications within days. The surgeon told me something I still think about today. He said, "If you had ignored that tooth pain for another week, there's a very real chance you wouldn't be here." I sat there speechless. A random toothache had literally saved my life. Not because of the pain itself, but because it forced me into a chair where someone noticed what no one else had seen. The surgery happened the next morning. It was successful. Recovery took weeks, but I kept thinking about one thing: how close I came to never knowing anything was wrong, and how a normal dentist appointment became the moment that saved my entire future. Sometimes life gives warnings in ways we don't understand. I thought I had a simple toothache, something millions of people ignore every day, but hidden behind that pain was something far more dangerous than I could ever imagine. The scariest part isn't what happened in that chair. It's knowing that if I had waited just a little longer, I may never have gotten a second chance. So, if your body is trying to tell you something, listen carefully, because sometimes the smallest pain hides the biggest danger. And sometimes, an ordinary day can become the day that saves your life forever.